probably heard about sustainability and sustainable living, and maybe you've done some research and you've started to wonder, is this for me? Because what you see online doesn't really match your life. Or in the worst case scenario, you feel really overwhelmed and defeated because you're like, I can't do that. And you're on the edge of giving up trying. Because sustainability can be really overwhelming to wrap our minds around because it's literally about everything. There's some really trendy, big misconceptions that might make this even harder. So in this video, we're gonna bust through those misconceptions so that you have greater clarity and impact for your life. You ready? Let's go! Founder of Sustainable Living School, the place where we provide busy people like you quick guidance and resources for sustainable living at home. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, I hope to earn your subscription today. One of the biggest barriers I see so many people struggling with is not seeing their best course of action because of common misconceptions about what sustainability is and how you're supposed to go about it. Nutshell takeaway, there is no right way. There's many ways, and there's some really simple rules that define planetary and social boundaries for sustainable living, giving us so much space within those boundaries to captain your own ship and have a lot of creativity about the actions you choose. But more on that in a bit. Let's dive into the whopper 3 misconceptions that I see emerging again and again since working in this field for over a decade. Our misconception 1, I need to become vegan. Misconception 2, I need to become an eco-minimalist or go zero waste, or both. And misconception 3, I need to stop flying or driving, or both.
What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Willis?
Wabam! Those are big topics. And before we unpack them further and talk about solutions, I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt blocked by one of these things, or you think like, I can't do that in my own life?
I am so confused right now.
Drop me a comment below. So my intention here in this video is to alleviate any stalled action that you might have, or like mental stress you might be feeling about getting it right. I've seen some really terrible examples of passionate people that just want to do the right thing and get sucked down into all the details in rabbit holes and just crazy worried about really minor things. And that's what this video is meant to help you, and to give you permission to stop trying to be perfect with your actions before you give up, because we really need you. Misconception 1, do I need to become vegan? No, you don't. And before you crack your knuckles and leave me angry comments about how I'm wrong, let me be the first person to agree with you that food is a very key place that we can take action for climate change, and that animals deserve to be treated ethically. And sustainability is way more than climate change. The media, I think, has really oversimplified this conversation, and they've vilified and shamed people that if you don't go vegan, it means you don't care about climate change. And that's just not true. It's really, unfortunately, not as black and white as that. There are so many layers of accessibility, culture, budget that need to be layered into this conversation. Even when following a vegan diet, these food choices might still contribute to a whole host of other sustainability issues, such as negative land use changes, topsoil loss, monocropping, massive amounts of pesticides used in the growing of food, water, as well as social issues such as fair pay and safe working conditions. And these are just a few things to name. This is what I mean by our food choices have been very oversimplified when it comes to sustainability. I think that we need to be careful about projecting what we think is best onto everybody else without considering their living context, which is why I encourage people to really take the broad perspective of what sustainability actually means. So really the key takeaway is we have to do the best that we can in the way that works for us. I've linked a really interesting report below from Our World in Data that ranks food kilogram per kilogram all the way across food supply chain and looks at greenhouse gas emissions. I think you might be really interested to see what some of the top emitters are. Besides eating more plants, going vegan or vegetarian, if that doesn't work for you, there are other actions that you can take, such as purchasing your food as close as you can to your home, or from food producers that center on things like permaculture or regenerative farming practices and that don't use pesticides. And if you care about the workers' safety and workers' rights, you can also purchase fair trade if that's in your budget. One of the top 3 solutions for climate change that's accessible to all of us is reducing your food waste. This means shopping for what you need and stop throwing away your food waste into the garbage. If you're able to do any of these things, you are off to a great start. Misconception number 2, I need to be an eco-minimalist or go zero waste. Now this is a really great one to unpack because it makes the assumption that sustainable living has to look this way or that way. This approach has become popular as a response to the growing awareness of really how big this disposable plastic problem is and the consumer habits that are attached to the ongoing waste generation. What happens if you can't adopt these in your own life context? Does that mean that you have any less impact or that you don't care? Of course not. Not at all. Spoiler alert, there is no such thing as zero waste. You eat an apple, you create waste as an apple core. Say if you build something out of wood, you create wood waste. These are examples of waste that can be integrated with Earth's natural cycles. Banana peels, for example, will biodegrade, as will wood eventually. So we have to be careful with the broad application of zero waste across your entire lifestyle, feeling really guilty, say if you can't get your food waste down into like 1 mason jar for an entire year. So I encourage you to think of some of the strategies that you can adopt. Reduce as much of your plastic waste as possible. Reuse. So purchase everything that you can secondhand and look for durability. Make things last or use what may be already in your house. It isn't the most important thing to match a picture of what you think sustainable living is because everybody has different styles, different access to resources and budgets. And the great news is there's many different ways, if you again are playing within those boundaries, that you can create what sustainable living looks for you. So think of it also maybe like a game of chess. There's more than one way to solve a math equation or win a chess game. Thankfully, there's many companies that are starting to address these and there's more and more alternatives that are being available. If you really want to nerd into this, look at Cradle to Cradle. That's a great book. Or you can Google circularity as a concept to understand more about this. Misconception 3, I need to stop flying or driving or both. Now this is a whopper because flight shame and climate change have been front and center in the mainstream media, and it does a lot of damage casting shame on people. We think that it's an impactful strategy, but it really isn't. So does this mean that somebody that can't stop flying or driving is a horrible person and they don't care about sustainable living? Heck no. Are there some that don't care? Of course. Most of us really do care, and we are all stuck in the same unsustainable system. For example, should you stop driving if you live in a rural area and let's say you work as a tradesperson? Probably not feasible for you if you need room for your tools, you have long distances to drive, you may not even have public transportation. This is a challenge depending on your context. Do what you can in your context. There's an interesting wave of electric vehicles and a whole conversation around this, especially as electric trucks are just about to be released. I might do another video on that later because I used to be a geologist, so I have some ideas about this. So what can you do? You can look for carpooling, opportunities to walk, maybe take a bike somewhere. If you are driving, you do have the ability to offset your carbon dioxide emissions using carbon credits. And the same goes for flying. Alternative technologies and fuel types and all of those things are being worked on, but unfortunately they're not available for us yet. And until then, flying has a heavy greenhouse gas emissions price tag. So flying for work, family issues, or emergency situations might also have dire financial or social trade-offs if you didn't fly. So while it's not a carte blanche blank check, I can fly wherever I want, there is an opportunity to use carbon credits to offset your carbon dioxide emissions. Think about flying as a tool that you need to be responsible about. I did create a 12-page guide that outlines the 4 ways we're being unsustainable and how we can flip that on its head to create those boundaries and that rule of the game. So when you play within these boundaries for planetary and social health, you'll begin to see how much creativity you have for solutions that match your personal context that you can download below. Now, this is just scratching the surface. There's so many nuances to this topic, and my goal is to help as many people as possible bust through those misconceptions so that you don't get stalled out in action. So I just really want to say thank you so much for being with me today. If this information has been valuable to you, from me, give me the thumbs up. You can also hit the notification bell. And if you haven't already subscribed, I hope I earned your subscription today. Take good care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.